I'm David Berlin. Today is April 12th. This is the Blockchain Journal podcast. I'm coming to you from New York City, where right now NFT New York City, one of the biggest NFT conferences, is taking place. And staying with me is Karen Jouve. She is the founder of Doors3. Doors3 is a company that helps big enterprises, big brands execute their NFT strategies. Karen, thank you very much for joining me on the Blockchain Journal podcast.
Thank you, and nice to meet you here.
Yeah, it's very nice to meet you too. Now, have you come here from France?
Yes, we've been here from France, and we are really happy to see a lot of people in New York City and all the community of Web3. It's really interesting for us.
And so is the interest in NFTs and blockchain as vibrant in France as it is here in the US?
Yes, it is also, and we have also big events like NFT Paris, for example, or Blockchain Week Summit just a few weeks ago. But here it's the United States, so you know it's pretty much cool, and we are really happy to be there.
Yeah, there's a lot of cool factor going on around the building here. Maybe I'm not so cool, I'm a little overdressed, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. So Doors3 helps big brands, enterprises move forward with their NFT strategy. I'm assuming that some of these companies come to you and don't even know anything, and you have to take them from ground zero to whatever it is their strategy is. Why don't you talk me through the process that you go through when you meet up with a brand like that?
Yeah, sure. So Doors3 is, in France, the first independent consulting company, and we work all around the world with major brands and corporate and, yes, executive directors to help them going through the Web3 ecosystem. So we work with them from the strategic vision to the deployment of their projects, who can be NFT projects, crypto, blockchain projects, but also metaverse and gaming experience. And yes, sometimes the first thing is that these brands want to go through the Web3 but don't know anything about the Web3, don't know the codes, don't know how to go in this ecosystem. So our goal is really to help them first understand this new ecosystem, understand the technological and cultural gap between Web 2 and Web 3, and all the key strategic and the potential of Web 3 for their brand. So it's our goal and our DNA to help them understand and then build a strong strategy on 1, 2, or 3 years with a long-term vision and sustainable, and then can deploy with proof of concept and then deploy at scale.
Does it take 2 or 3 years before we get to proof of concept?
No. We just bring long-term strategy, but we have to quickly have proof of concept and MVP to prove and to test the audience, because all brands are not on the same things and have not the same audience. So it's important to experiment and test and learn, doing a first NFT drop, having a first collab with the Web3 community, or having a first a quick metaverse experience, for example.
So what are the biggest use cases you're seeing so far when you're dealing with your clients? Because there's so many. You actually mentioned that you go beyond NFTs. You even go into the area of cryptocurrency and stuff like that. So that's a broad range. Primarily, though, where are you seeing the most interest?
Yes. First, I want to say that we are in a good way today, because a lot of brands have understood that Web3 is not just a one-shot and it's a long-term vision. So if yesterday we saw a lot of NFT drops about nothing, today they really want to make Web3 an enabler and an accelerator for their strategic vision. So the
point is, we've seen the headlines, and enterprises are starting to get that Web3 NFTs are not just about Bored Apes and JPEGs. It's about other means of stakeholder engagement, customer engagement, employee engagement.
Yes, and most of all, it's not just for make money, but it's to build a real ownership experience and true Internet of Value. It's really the next wave for corporate brands to go through the digital transformation.
And ownership experience, when you say ownership of what?
Ownership for brands and ownership for customers. We are reinventing the way that we consume data. So in the CRM strategy, for example, with the loyalty 3.0 strategy like Nike, Swoosh or Starbucks, we are reinventing the way that customer and brands are doing together something. And what we see, for your question, what we see today about major use cases are first, yes, membership and loyalty 3.0, how to make the CRM better tomorrow. Second, we see the digital twin. Digital twin and phygital are really a good way for traditional brands to enter the Web3 ecosystem.
For the people who are watching this and don't know what a digital twin is, or phygital, you probably have this conversation all the time with the companies that you visit, like, what's that, full stop? What's phygital, what's a digital twin, and is there a difference between the two?
Phygital is just the way to have digital and phygital experience at the same time. And so digital twin is like a digital asset that represents physical objects. For example, your suit could be also a wearable in the metaverse and could be a digital twin. But we can also have digital twin in industrial sector, for example, automotive. We work and we accompany major automotive brands like Renault Group.
Oh, so you're working with Renault?
Yes, and digital twin in the industrial sector is really interesting because it's about Web3, but not at all. It's also about IoT and AI. And this is our conviction also that Web3 is a way to have a lot of technologies and maturity technologies.
Going back to what you're saying about how you engage with customers, what the customer owns, what the company owns, I've heard multiple times at this event already that NFTs are the new cookie, right? Like it's the new way to kind of stay connected to your audience. That's what cookies traditionally were used for, is, you know, maintaining a session or something like that on a website. There's also, especially in Europe, I'm sure you're familiar with the privacy laws, which are far more aggressive in Europe than they are in the US currently. That could change. The US may catch up, who knows. Is there any threat of the regulators in Europe taking a closer look at this technology and also kind of, you know, putting the kibosh on any innovation there?
Yes, we have a lot of discussion around regulators and legal. And actually in France and in Europe, we are professional to make law and not allow innovation to better develop. But
you're professionals at making laws that stifle innovation.
Yes. But it's also a good way to regulate this ecosystem because we have to. It's a new ecosystem also with not so much rules. So our vision is that legal have to be an enabler also to the Web3 ecosystem. And we can also see that in a positive way, we can make some IP strategy, for example. Bored Ape, for example, or Azuki are showing that. And I think for one point, it's interesting to have a legal and a regulatory rules around the Web3 ecosystem, and not to be far west, but also in another point to take part of these legal rules and to take advantage for brands around, for example, IP, but not only this point. And what's really interesting that you say the NFT is like a cookie.
Is it the new cookie?
Oh, I think yes or no, but I think what is interesting, yes, is how NFT are a new tool and a new enabler for customer and for brands. Because
how so? Like, how does compared to a cookie, which was something that if you went to a website, that website would deliver a cookie into your browser and it would sit there and Lord knows what it would do, but you had no control over it as a user other than removing it. You could do that, but there was no like ownership of it. It wasn't like an interactive piece of technology. So how do NFTs take the place of the cookie, and what capability does it provide to both the business and the consumer?
The main difference is that when you have an NFT, you have the ownership. And this is the main difference.
You being the consumer side.
Yes, the consumer, and first the brand that leave the NFT. But for the consumer, it's really interesting because in Web 2, we didn't have that. We just sell our data.
And what information, when a brand delivers an NFT to one of its customers, what information gets exchanged over the long run across that NFT. As long as the customer is holding that NFT, I'm assuming the implication is there's a technological relationship of what they say is an intimate relationship. So what information can the brand get, and what control does the consumer have?
What is interesting for the brand point of view is that they can have a lot of information about community, about preferences of the consumer, and also can co-create with the consumer. That is really the main difference between what we can do today in the Web3 ecosystem. And for the consumer, it depends on the NFT, because some NFT are really ownership and other NFT are not really, because it's so much Web 2.5 and not really Web 3, because we are also in a long way in this transformation. But for the consumer, it's also interesting to co-create with the brand, to give their opinion, and yes, to try to be actor and not just consumer.
You mentioned Renault as being one of the brands that you work with. Are there some other brands you can tell us about?
Yes, we work also in the luxury sector. So we help, for example, L'Oréal Group and Yves Saint Laurent Beauty.
Those are big names, L'Oréal and Yves Saint Laurent. Okay.
They launched a few NFT drop, and it's also all about community and loyalty program. In other sector like financial services, we work with AXA, which is a major insurance group in France and all around the world. We work with them about on a metaverse experience. In a cool way, we work with Royal Canin, which is a pet care renowned in France and also all around the world.
Do you get an NFT for your pet?
I can't tell you what we are doing, but it's a metaverse experience also. And we help the famous Ballon d'Or. I'm sure you know the Ballon d'Or. In the soccer world, we help them going through the Web3 ecosystem, and we did the first world during a ceremony, because we give a digital twin NFT for all the laureates that have the trophy. So it was really cool. And yes, we work with a lot of sports brands, entertainment, financial services, automotive brand, and also industrial actor.
Wow, you're very busy. Well, congratulations on all of that success. Hope you have a great rest of the event. And Karen Jouve, founder of Doors3, thank you very much for joining us on the Blockchain Journal podcast.
Thank you, and see you soon in France or in United States.
For sure.